Yo, what's up, fam? Big love to all of y'all tuning in from around the world. If it's your first time here, welcome to the squad. Smash that like and hit subscribe to roll with us. Russia's freaking out over NATO's military island. So, Sweden just rolled out troops to Gotland Island in the Baltic Sea after spotting a bunch of Russian Navy action nearby. Gotland's basically a shield for NATO allies and could totally be a launch pad if stuff goes down with Russia in the Baltics. In this video, we're going to dive into why this little island packs such a big punch and why it's a major player in Europe's high-stakes security game. Sweden's not messing around with this militarized island anymore. Once just a chill tourist spot, Gotland's now locked and loaded after Sweden officially joined NATO to beef up its defenses. The island's location is super important. It's not far from Kaliningrad, that weird little Russian chunk stuck between Poland and Lithuania. So Gotland's perfect for keeping tabs on the Baltic Sea, which is kinda like the region's freeway for military and trade moves. For centuries, this spot has been caught in the middle of power plays. Russia and Sweden have gone back and forth over it more than once. Fast forward to now, and it's all eyes on Gotland again, with NATO and Russia flexing for influence. Even way back in Viking times, Gotland wasn't just some random rock in the sea. It was part of the Hanseatic League, a badass medieval trade network that ruled Northern Europe's economy. Russia even controlled it briefly during the Napoleonic Wars, so yeah, they've been eyeing it for ages. That all changed in 2014 when Russia took over Crimea. Sweden was like, okay, time to rethink this. And by 2018, they started rebuilding Gotland's defenses. Then Russia invaded Ukraine in 2022, and boom, Gotland became more crucial than ever. Now it's not just about defense, it's about keeping close watch on Russian military moves. Gotland is only about 200 miles from Kaliningrad, that isolated piece of Russia kinda like their version of Alaska. Kaliningrad is packed with Russian military hardware and can launch a serious threat in a snap. But with NATO forces stationed on Gotland, they can watch Russian ships and planes like hawks, and even push back if needed. That takes a lot of pressure off the region and puts Russia on notice. And it's not just about military stuff. It's about trade and energy routes, too. Whoever controls Gotland gets a major say in what moves through the Baltic. Gotland's got the power. NATO's Baltic watchdog. When things heat up, whoever's holding Gotland basically gets to call the shots on what ships are allowed in the area. With NATO troops stationed there, they can straight up block Russian ships from using the Baltic Sea if it comes to that. The island's got key military sites like a firing range where troops train and Visby Airport, both critical for Sweden and NATO's defense plans. Sweden's government has dropped serious cash upgrading Gotland for military use, built new housing, added air defense systems, and boosted their links with NATO forces across Europe. Basically, they've gone all in. Sweden's Prime Minister told the Financial Times that beefing up Gotland was one of the top things discussed with NATO partners. He knows the island needs serious protection. Gotland isn't just any island anymore. It's turned into a strategic hotspot that Sweden and NATO both gotta focus on hard. Gotland's a game changer for NATO and Russia. Gotland might be key to blocking Russian attacks, but let's be real. NATO's not the only one that could gain from controlling the island. If Russia got its hands on Gotland, it'd be a total game changer. They could launch missiles at NATO bases and control the skies, making it way harder for NATO to respond. Basically, Gotland would become a launch pad for Russian attacks across the whole region. That's why the island's stacked with modern gear now. We're talking tanks like the Stridsvagn 102R and Leopard 2s, plus howitzers and heavy-duty anti-tank weapons. There are also armored vehicles and specialized units recruited straight from Gotland locals to form a solid homegrown defense force. Housing all those troops wasn't easy, but Sweden pushed through. Gotland's military boost sparked serious debate about national security and Sweden's deepening ties with NATO. The Gotland unit is officially known as the 18th Battle Group, run by the Scarab Borg fraternity. Yep, that's real. And it's based out of Tufta. This group includes armored infantry, tank support units, and a logistics company, fully prepped for quick reaction. Originally, the battle group wasn't supposed to be ready until 2018. But rising tensions made Sweden fast-track everything. In September 2016, Sweden's top general convinced the government to send troops early. So by early 2017, the first batch of soldiers had boots on the ground, along with radar systems to scan the skies for any incoming threats. That same year, Sweden made a major move. They brought back mandatory military service. It had been scrapped for a while, but things were getting too real to stay relaxed. Since then, Sweden's gone full throttle on expanding its military. They plan to grow their armed forces to about 115,000 troops by 2030, way up from around 88,000 now. That's a major leap from their old target of just 14,000 new recruits per year. Even if they don't hit every goal exactly, it's still a massive increase compared to how things were before. And it's not just about more troops. Sweden's throwing serious money at defense, especially missiles and radar systems. They're making it super clear they're building a military that can actually stand up to threats, not just wave a flag. This isn't just boots and budgets either. Sweden's playing the long game, military, financial, and strategic moves to protect Gotland from potential threats, especially with renewed tension in the region. Their goal? Be ready to hit back fast if anything goes down, on land, sea, or in the air. Now, Gotland's air and naval defenses are some of the strongest in Europe. Sweden's upgraded radar tech can spot enemy activity early and send a serious message. We see you. And all these changes, they've made a big impact on the people living there. A lot of locals say they actually feel safer with a stronger military presence. With the war in Ukraine still going and the Baltics feeling more tense, that added sense of security hits different. Of course, not everyone is chill about it. Some folks worry that constant military drills, armored vehicles, and war training are changing Gotland's peaceful vibe. Even the mayor pointed out there are mixed feelings. Some people feel safer, but others are concerned about how this all affects the island's economy and way of life. So yeah, with more troops and military buildings popping up, some folks worry Gotland might lose its charm. Like instead of being known for its culture and nature, it'll just be remembered as a war zone. People are definitely split on it. Some say it's necessary and a reminder that peace ain't guaranteed. Sweden's decision to ditch its long-standing policy of staying neutral and finally join NATO. That's a huge deal for Northern Europe's security. For centuries, Sweden avoided military alliances, meaning they didn't jump into other people's wars. It kept them out of a lot of global messes. But when Russia invaded Ukraine in 2022, it was a wake-up call. Suddenly, staying neutral didn't feel so safe anymore. The invasion made it clear, just not picking a side doesn't always protect you. So Sweden realized it needed strong allies, and that's where NATO comes in. Joining NATO means if one country gets attacked, everyone else has got their back. That promise gave Sweden military backup and gave NATO an even stronger presence in the Baltic Sea. And trust, Russia's been eyeing that area heavy. The Baltic connects straight to the North Atlantic, which is a big deal for Russian military strategy. But now that Sweden and Finland are both in NATO, Russia's got less wiggle room out there. That's why NATO's out here running full-on war games. These drills aren't just for show. They're to prep for real attacks from the air or sea. They're basically a loud warning to Russia. Try to grab Gotland, and you're going to meet serious resistance. In 2024, Gotland played a major role in Baltops 24, one of the biggest Baltic Sea military exercises ever. Over 90 warships, submarines, and aircraft were involved. NATO countries like the US, Sweden, Poland, France, Norway, and the Netherlands all showed up and showed out. A French officer explained that this annual training is run under NATO command in the Baltic, and the 2024 goal was all about strengthening NATO's defense coordination and testing new battle strategies. The drills were intense. Stuff like air defense, anti-submarine warfare, and coastal landings were all in play. You could literally see the Swedish forces training on the beaches. One big mission during the exercise: clearing old sea mines from the Baltic, leftovers from past wars that are still dangerous to ships and subs today. The US Navy led those ops alongside NATO's maritime forces. With Russia's military stepping things up in the region, NATO's not taking any chances. And Gotland being part of Baltops 2024 just proved how crucial that little island is in the grand scheme of things. Basically, Sweden's no longer chilling on the sidelines. They're suiting up, teaming up, and letting the world know they're not going to be caught